Hello folks, I'm back again with a new video. In our previous video, we have seen the integration part of React and the Django, right? Today in this video, we are going to discuss about Axios, the post and the get method. There is something called interceptors. We'll see that in separate video. But in this video, we'll be talking about how you can make get and the post request through the Django being the backend, and we use RESTful API, REST framework in Django, and we also need to include something like cross headers, which will allow you to do things, and we all discuss now right in this video. And yeah, let's get this party started. But wait, before getting into this video, I would like to request you one thing. That's almost 50% of our viewers weren't subscribed yet. So I request you all to make a subscribe to the channel so that you will be notified with the latest updates. Yeah, now let's get this party started. Let's talk about Axios. Axios is a popular JavaScript library which is used for making HTTP requests. It simplifies the process of interacting with web APIs and sending and receiving data, and handling responses like while processing the form, uh, after processing, and even before the processing. And here are some key features, like it is promise based, which means that Axios uses promises to handle the asynchronous operations and making it easier to work with asynchronous codes. And we have interceptors where it allows you to process requests or the responses before they are handled by then or catch, like then or catch or some functions that we use to handle the response data. This interceptors is useful for adding authentication tokens, and we can also log request data, which is further used for debugging and to solve the problems if arises. And it has request and response transformation, which means that you can transform requests and responses, that allowing you to modify data before sending it and after retrieving it, which is what request and response, before and after. And four, we have automatic JSON data transmission, where Axios automatically transforms JSON data into JavaScript objects, and it can do also vice versa. And we have error handling. It provides detailed error handling messages and the response data, which helps in debugging. And we can manage failure requests using this error handling. And six, it works on both client side and the server side. Like in client side, we use React, Vue, and some others. For server side, we use Node.js, right? And that's what. So with this introduction, let's jump into setup part. Yeah, we have a flow to work on so that your whatever the Axios we are dealing with will be in a nice flow. So starting with settings.py file in your project folder. Now go to the install apps, and we need to add two things, which is REST framework and the course headers. Like we haven't installed the course headers right now. So for this, head to your terminal. Now in your terminal, paste the following command. Say pip install django course headers. Course headers is something that will allow you to interact your front end with the Django backend, so that you can make a post request, or else you can make a get request, whatever, from your front end to Django backend. So you need to install this in order to make things happen, and you need to include that in your course, or apps section. Come to the middleware section, where we need to add one thing, which is course headers dot middleware dot course middleware. Add middleware, add the following line, and then adding the following line, we need to add one more line, which is we need to allow origins. Like, for since it's a development purpose, we allow all the origins, but in case of production, like when we deploy it into any like company level websites, we don't allow all the origins. Instead we allow some particular, like likewise say strict origins to make requests. You can also use this if you don't want to all allow all the origins. Like currently for the development, I was just allowing all the origins. So cors allow all. Make sure that they are caps lock, which is they are constants, okay. And it needs to be true to allow origins, I mean requests from front end. And that's the three things we do in settings.py file. Then yeah, head to your models.py file, and within our models.py file we have created a database table which is say form data. Like I'm showing you all the hard coded part, like I have already built this, and I'm just going to explain you right now, because when you go into hands on, it will be like casual itself. We have already deal with that in the Django session only. Okay, even if you are new, no worries, you just need to know the flow so that you can make up your own database table and require. Say we have form data, this is the table name that's created in the Django table, and we are creating an ID. We are using UUID, which is unique user ID field. Say here we imported UUID right here, and using that UUID, we are going to make it as a primary key so that it will be helpful in fetching the data, manage the data when it's been posted to the database. And we are initially setting a default value, which is the id that is generated from UUID module, and it is not editable. We make it to false, because if we change the generated id, then there is no reason we generated the id right here, right? So it should not be editable. And we are creating a name inside our database, which is character field, and we have, like, we are allowing some basic length which is 100, and we got email field and the message. You see, message is a text field. You can have some set of text likewise, and we are returning based on name and also the email, okay. And of course, when you create a model, you need to create the serializer for this. Make sure you import that using app.models, like your app name dot models. We import whatever we have. Say it is registration for previous one, and form data is what now we have created. And we are creating a serializer. So to understand, like, it is the serializer, we are naming it as form serializer. And we have discussed why we use serializers, and say this class is meta. Make sure that this meta inside this should be capital M, and remaining they should be small. Even if you put this meta with small m, even that will cause you an error, okay. Don't forget this. Meta should be capital M followed by small letters, right? And we take a model. This model we have created just now, which is form data. And for that model, we consider all the fields and we serialize the data. And we need to create a view, right? For this, you need to import the serializer and also the model you have created. For serializer, you just imported the form data, which is the table we created model. And see, in this form data view set, this is for the view. So from view sets, we have model view set. View sets is a module which is used to create views for likewise. It is originated from Django REST framework. And yeah, we take all the objects and we make it in the, and we store that in a query set. And serializer class is a type, and we are storing the serializer we created for the previous model. And then URLs, we have added this one right here, okay. And make sure you add this after the path. You add this include, and then we add this following line, so that we create an API endpoint within the backend. And make sure this app.urls, this app should be your app name, Django app name, whatever you have created. And make sure you have an urls.py file. So this URL, like, initially you won't have an url.py file, you need to create one. This is your app, this URL. So yeah, we created an URL, and we set up mean home directory as our endpoint for the form we send the data. And this is what it looks like. So we are including using router, we include the URLs, and we are registering the firstly. We have something called default router, which will help you to make routing from this that particular API to this home page in your app. And then we register this, which is form data. We created the model, right? And that's how your backend setup looks like. And then head to your terminal, Django terminal, and then you need to make migrations. So that, see, like I have already made the migrations. If you make the migrations for the first time, you will see a table is created and some other stuff right here. So say python space manage.py make migrations. Sorry, it's dot. Okay, no changes detected. Like I have already made the changes and there is nothing changed right now. If you change something, you can see that. Say within your models.py, let's say I have deleted this message and I save this, and let me run this make migrations. Then you can see, yeah, we removed a field. So similarly, you will see a creation of table right here, and then migrate to apply your changes whatever you have made. See, migrate, then you can see, yeah, running migrations and applied. We have removed the form data message. Okay, and say if we add this and control S to save, then let's try making migrations once again. Then okay, we need to have some default value. It was asking you for a default value. Say default is equals to nothing, or else we'll say hi, and then we'll make migrations. Yeah, we are now added message field. I haven't got this error previously. Okay, if you got this error, add some default value. Like I have added hi. You can add whatever the default message it is. If it asks you, like previously it didn't ask me for uh, for some default value. Yeah, we have applied the migrations, then we can see form data message is applied. Likewise, you will see like a model is created and something happened likewise, and then apply the migrations. Make sure you make migrations to get things ready, and then apply the migrations so that they will be get applied in your database. So that's what your backend looks like. And coming back to the front end, yeah, we have created some files within our front end. Say we have within our source, we have components, pages, and like I created a folder called CSS, so that the form login form will be like something cool enough with CSS styling. Yeah, this is what our form component looks like. We are using, yeah, we are using name within our form. We are using email, we are using a message, and when we submit the form we get a submit ID, right? And we are using like we have declared the variable for submitted ID also. And we are initially using state nothing, state initially null. And this is what happens on submitting the data. We'll see, this is what our submit form looks like. uh, we have a heading submit form. On submit handle submit. Okay, uh, whenever there is a change, we said that value whatever we got right now. So that's what e.target.value will help you. And we are using like we are setting the name using the setter variable, setter for email and setter for message. Okay, when you submit the data, you get the submitted ID, which is the submitted ID right here, right in this one. Okay, cool. Now let's see what happens on you click on submit. See, when you click on submit, we create a synchronous function. Say we prevent the default value to go into the database, which prevents the default value right here, and we make a try and catch block. here is what try block looks like, and catch to catch any error when some error occur. And we are making a variable called response, and using Axios we are making a post request. We are waiting till then we can make a response from the server, and using Axios we post. So this particular API, say we have made an endpoint right in the Django API, right? Say within our views, no URLs, we created an API endpoint, and from that we are making something empty, mean home page. Say we are making it to form data. Form data is our database table, right? We are sending to form data, which is name, email, and the message. We are sending these three, and we get an ID. ID is generated in the backend, right? From response, like within the response, when you get the response, if you don't specify this, you will have some set of data also. Like say you have headers, you have data, and you also have the footer section and remaining. We are just extracting the data part itself. Response, we are just extracting the data, that's it. And we store something like ID, whatever we have given in the database name, it's ID na. We are getting that ID, and we are storing that ID within our session storage. Like it will be new for you, no worries. Session storage is something which is like say catchy, just like catchy, it will store within your local system. And we are getting, like we are setting an ID, like we are setting a name for this with submitted ID, and that is the ID we got from the response. I added this line to call something when the form is submitted. And yeah, that's how we handle the form submission onto the backend part. And this is how form component, I mean the styling looks like. I think we don't have to discuss about the styling right now. Yeah, coming back to fetch data component, where you fetch the data from the backend, right? So we are using state. So initially there will be nothing in anything, even the data, and there will be no error, and we use them as null. And this is how you fetch data. We'll see them later. uh, yeah. Yeah, this is just a simple div. We show whatever it is. Say we got an ID, we got name, email, message. We are all getting this from the data, which is session, right? Say session response dot data, this response dot data, and we store them and we fetch the ID. Yeah, on click, say we got a button, so that when you click on the button, you will fetch the data. It will fetch the data for you, whatever you have submitted. So what's exactly happening is, when you submit a form, the ID gets stored in the local storage, the session, and you take the session ID and use that session ID to fetch the data. On click, the fetch data has to be called, right? So this is what the fetch data. Even this is an asynchronous function. Say we got from the session storage, we are retrieving the item which is submitted ID, which is saved. We are setting the item right here, which with name the submitted ID. And in this fetch data we are fetching, yeah, we are fetching get item is nothing but fetching that value associated with this submitted ID from the session storage, and we store that with ID name. And if there is no ID, then there is nothing to find, there is nothing to fetch, right? So no key found to fetch the data. And yeah, this is what we try. Of course we have previously saved the response in response variable itself. Yeah, we are making a get request. Initially we made the post request, now we are making a get request using this particular ID. Previously we have till right here, right? Only form data. Within the form data we are trying to fetch that particular ID we have stored. Like we stored that as ID, right? Submitted ID is now ID. And yeah, whatever the response dot data, we set that data for this particular data. And if there is any error, we set that error. And also we catch any error, like fetching error fetching data, and followed by we display the error. Yeah, that's how your fetch data component helps you. And form combined, in this particular component we got form component, right, to make a post request. And this is for making get request, right? In form combined, we combine both these two components so that if we call this particular component, then we are going to call both the components at the same time, right? So that's how to make it simple. I just combine them. See, we are calling this form component. This is for the form component, and we have fetch data component. This is for the fetch data, and inside this we are handling form submission. What happens on submitting the form data? On submitting the form, it is going to handle that submission, and we are going to fetch data. Say we get data from this particular form data, like we are already fetching based on id, right? We just get that form data, and we set the data to this data using the setter, and if there are any errors we just catch them, and this use effect will help you to, you know, to take this action only once when the page is rendered likewise. And we are calling the fetch data, this fetch data. On also, even to handle the submit, we are fetching the data right here. Okay, that's how things do work. Now, like, we have to create three files: form component, form fetch data component, and the form combined. Now we need to add that to path within the app.js file. Yeah, within the app.js file. So we are adding the form combine. Look, we are not adding form component and form data, because we combine them within the form component, form combine, and we add this to part, and we also add this to routes, and we just create a link so that with just a single click we can go into that particular page, and control s to save. It's time to run your development servers, both the servers. Remember, till now we may be working on single one, but now we need to work both, right? So hit your Django and say python space manage.py followed by run server, and I think we are already running this React app. Something is wrong. Let's clear this. In your React application, say npm start to run your development server for React. Yeah, we go to form combined at the rate gmail.com, and then follow the message. uh, it's a message from programming stuff, and when you click on submit, yeah, form is now successfully submitted, and we got the submitted id, and we have a button. When you click on fetch data, there is no reload, and we get the data that's been fetched based on this particular id. And make sure, is these two IDs are same? Yes, they are. So whatever we generate an ID, we get that ID from session storage, and we fetch the data. Okay, we haven't coded right in this video because it's going to take you much time. That's it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys like this. And in our upcoming video, we will see what are interceptors and how they are useful, and we'll make work on it. If you got any errors within this process, let me know. We'll do work on it.